Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masechtas Shavuot daf Chaf. We're going to begin on Yud Testament based by the new parak, new Mishnah. Shavuos Shtayim Shein Arba. When it comes to Shavuos, also there are two which are from the Torah itself, and then two which are derived elsewhere. Namely, Shavuos Oichal Ushloi Oichal. That is from the Torah, as Rashi says, L'harola hativ, which is mashal haba, that you say, I will eat or I won't eat. So that is from the Torah. However, she'achalti v'shulachalti, I did eat or I didn't eat, that's in the past time, and that's something in which the Chachamim later, they added on. Shua shel oichel, a person makes a shua shel oichel, won't eat, v'achal, Kolshu, and he ate even the smallest amount, chayiv di Rabbi Kiva. So according to Rabbi Kiva, he holds your chayiv even if it's a small amount. Amar Rabbi Kiva, heichem etzinu ba'oichel kolshu hu shu chayiv shezeh chayiv. Where do we find that a person is going to be chayiv for eating a kolshu? So Amar Rabbi Kiva, v'chi heichem etzinu be medaber maybe carbon shezeh medaber maybe carbon. Well, with just words, we know that a person can bring a carbon. Says Rashi, Bishil bittul divuroi, by not keeping your words, Kivandi mishum bittul diburahu, avzeh bittul diburo. So this is considered breaking your words. Sha'aymer lo oichel, you say I'm not going to eat. Da'ato asratz mabachol shehu. So your das is even the smallest amount. And therefore it's not the amount that you ate, it's the words that you broke is the reason why you're going to be chayiv. So Gemara says, "Remember, are you coming to tell me that the she'oichel, when it says that I will eat, is the achlina mashma? That's referring to eating or minhi? Kasha. It says like this: Shvua lo oichelach. Shvua, I'm not going to eat. And here's the key words: Shvua she'oichelach. Shvua she'oichelach lo shvua she'oichelach aser. So in all these different cases, it's aser to eat. So obviously, the language of she'oichelach is not to eat. So really, it means to eat. However, it's not a kasha to hear. No kasha. Kan b'misarvin boil echol. Kan b'she'en misarvin boil echol. When is you're being, the brisa is when you're being pressured to eat. Someone's pressured to eat, and therefore you say, Shua, I don't want to eat by you. However, the other case, where you're not being pressured to eat, and therefore the shvua is to eat. Okay, that's the difference. Masnisin b'shin misarvin boil echol. Our Mishnah is where you're not being forced to eat, and therefore that's the shvua. However, brayse misarvin boil echol, you're being forced to eat, so you say I don't want to eat. Become lo achluna. I don't lo achilna dechika mishtaba. Hachikamer, shvua shel oichel, I don't want to eat. Rabashi oimer tani, shvua she'i oichelach. Actually, you just have to add the word shvua she'i oichelach, that I will not eat. So therefore, you're right. But in this case, you have to add those words. So Yihachi Malmer was a chiddush. Samanatema lishna diskaliule kamashwan. It sounds like a language of someone who's stumbling upon words. Nichshol. It didn't really mean to say e, not fine. Tanaban. So mavate shvua iser shvua. If you say, if it's a language of being mavate, that's a shvua and it counts. If you use the language of iser, that also is a shvua. Says Rashi, well, iser shvua. So let me explain. Iser. If you use the word iser, sirasu shel iser mahu. Im ata oimer iser shvua chayiv. Ima potter. So if your intention is for a shvua, you're chayiv. If not, you're potter. So im ata oimer iser shvua vaha amart iser shvuahu. What do you mean if it sounds like a shvua? That's what he said. So b'hachakamer mavat shvua. The person who's mavata shvua, iser is matas b'shvua. So when you say iser, The second is like the first one. You're being matvis. Says Rashi, person who says this bread is against, not on me. It's like he said, I'm not going to eat it. And therefore, if you eat this bread, you're chayv olav yared. Isser mitvus b'shua. Isser olai kikar zu. If you say Isser olai, not mavata kikar zu olai, but rather Isser olai kikar zu, harihu kimi shenishma al kikar, it's like you already made a shul on the bread, b'chaz v'omer al kikar acher. And now you're also doing on another bread. Harzeh kazeh shehitvis es hasheni barishon. So you're making the second one just like the first one. Isser. Now over here, the Tana in the Brisa has a suffix. Ima to oimer. If you say that mitvus b'shvua k'maiti shvua mipiv dami chayiv imlav potter. Look at Rashi. Im tim saloimer shamatvis b'shvua. Now, a person who makes a connection from one thing to the next regarding shvua, k'maiti shvua mipiv dami. It's like the shvua itself. Im ochel chayiv carbon. Therefore, you're chayiv a carbon. Avzeh ha'omer iser kikar zelai chayiv carbon. Then you are chayiv. V'im lav. Shematvis b'shua enu kinishva. It's not considered like the shua itself. Le'inin carbon or malchus. Afa iser ein boi lo carbon lo malchus. Umamai de mavata shua. How do we know if a person says mavata kikar zolai, that's considered to be a shvua, and therefore he cannot, if he violates, it will be chayav oyav yared. T'chsiv o nefesh ki sishbel lavata b'svosayim. So iser nami t'chsiv kol ned v'chol shvuos iser. So what's the whole suffix by the word Isser? Isser should definitely be a shvua, just like Mavata. El Mamaydi Isser Matus B'Shvuhu. How do we know that an Isser is Matus B'Shvua? D'chsev o Asr Isser al Nasher B'Shvua. Mavata Nami D'chsev V'chol Asher Yavato Adam B'Shvua. So again, it should be the same thing when it comes to Mavata. El Rabbi Mavata Shvua Mahacha. We learn out from here. The pasuk says, "V'im ha'yusel ish." It is to a man in the Rehel she has Nadarim on her mitzvah Savosaha, she also al Nasha, V'yu Shvua Kaimer. Over there it doesn't mention anything about Shvua. So B'mai Asr Atzma, how is she asking herself? B'mavata, right? It herself, itself is a Shvua. Rabbi Oyam Emelach Mitvis B'Shvua Lav Kamaitz Shvua Mepiv Dam. It's not the same. Mavata Shvua Isser. Isser nami shvua asud isser hatilu hakasum bein neder shvua haitzi b'lashon neder b'lashon shvua heichen hatilu v'im beis isha nedara or asur isser al nasher b'shvua. So we connect neder and shvua together. V'gaimer v'yazal tamayu d'itmar matvis b'shvua. Abai Omer Kamaitz Shvua Mepiv Dami. V'Rava Omer Lav Kamaitz Shvua Mepiv Dami. So this kikar is usher, but are you chayiv a carbon on this second kikar? So the question is it matves? So Meisvei, Eza Isser Ha'omer B'Torah, Ha'omer Hariyolai Shaloi Oichel Basar V'Shaloi Eshte Yayin. I'm not going to eat meat or drink wine. Ki Yoim Shemeis Bo'aviv. Just like the same day my father died, Kiyom Shemeis Bo Pliny, Kiyom Shenerg Ben Boy Gadal Ben Achikam, which of course is a fast day. Kiyom Shiro Yerushalayim B'Chor Bana. I saw Yerushalayim in its destruction. Aser. So it says Rashi, V'ezu Os Iser Ha'omer B'Torah Shu B'lo Yachel Devaro. Alma Hamatas B'Neder Hari Hu B'lo Yachel Keneder Atzmai. Over the Matvis B'Neder Nader Matas B'Shua Shua. Yomashmul v'usha nadar uvoi ma'isa hayoim. It needs he already accepted the neder before. Afterwards, let's say his father died, for example. So bishul mulabaya b'matvis b'neder neder matvis b'shvua shvua. So if you're matvis b'neder, you're connecting the second thing to the first or two when it comes to a shvua. So we continue to come from the base. El Rabbi Kasha. So Melech Rava Taretz V'Imahach, you should say Ezu Iser Neder. It's a regular case of Neder. It's not a case of Hatvasa. Ezu Iser Ha'omer B'Torah Ha'omer hariolai shelo eichel basar shelo eshte yayin ki yom shemes bo avik ki yom sheharig bo ploini yom shmuel v'hu shenother uvo moisa hayoyim. So my time. So look at Rashi. High time to love b'matas b'nederari. El b'ikr nederari. We're talking about a regular neder. This is how to make a regular neder for it to be chal. Yashmin the enu chai b'neder el im kin pirusho. You have to explain. V'achakach tol b'davar hanidol of ki kvar. Has to be something which is a davar hanodar. Of a mitvus b'neder love nederhu. Okay. So maybe being matvus b'neder is not a neder, but here we're talking about ikr haneder. So my taima, Amar ish ki yider neder l'Hashem, ad she yider b'davar hanodar. So this double lashon is mashma already. It's a different neder. So it's ad she yider b'davar hanodar. It has to be that you're making a neder on something which you already made a neder on before. You cannot make a neder on davar ha'aser. It has to be a davar hanodar. Ki yoyim shemeis bo aviv subshita. So obviously it says Rashi, v'chi mishum demeis bo aviv. Migra isur of harinadav olav. So kiyam sher gedal menachika mitzrichle. Sagadav chamina kivandachi loy nader nami aser. It's a tiny sibur. So even if you didn't make this neder, you still can't fast. You have to fast anyway. So ki nader nami loy havi lehan iser. Maybe it's not considered to be a private neder. V'hai lav mitvus benederhu, and maybe it's not chal kamashmon. V'after Rabbi Yochanan savar law. Well, had the Rabbi, the Chiyasa Rabbi, Rabbi Yochanan, quote, if a Mavata lo yichalach, or, for that matter, if one says Isser lo yichalach, Shvuah. In either case, that's considered to be a Shvuah, to be chayiv on Olav Yard. Kiyasa Rabdimi Yomer Rabbi Yochanan, Oichel, v'lo oichel, sheker. I will eat, I will not eat. So that's considered to be Shvuah sheker. You violate it. Is harti mahacha. Neshar is lo sishma b'shmil sheker. Achalti v'achalti, I ate or I did not eat in the past, so that's shav. That's considered to be a shvuah shav. Because at the time that you made it, it was already the opposite. So that's a shvuah shav. This harti mahachal will see so Hashem kachal shav. Koinamois oiver b'lo yachal davaro. When it comes to kanamois, you're over bal yachel. Meisvei, shav v'sheker echadhein. You're learning these out from different psukim. A shvuah shav, a shvuah sheker is the same thing. So my law, midashavel l'shavar, av sheker nam l'shavar. They're both talking about past tense. Alma achalti v'achalti shekerhu. So apparently, a person who says achalti, I ate, or I didn't eat, which is in the past tense, that's not shvuah shav. That's shvuah sheker. So midi area hakanisa. No, you can't learn one from the other, right? They're two separate cases. So my davar achad hein. What do it mean? They're the same thing. It means the b'dibur echad nemru, that they were said at the same time. What does that mean? Kidisanya zachar v'shomer b'dibur echad nemru. Now when it came to zachar Shabbos, shomer Shabbos, they were both said at the same time. Mashin yochel hapel l'daver. No one else could possibly do this. Mashin ha'oizen yochel shmoya. Something which the ear cannot possibly comprehend. How is it possible that a person cannot say two things at the same time? So too, that's all it means. That the shvuah shav and shvuah sheker is taught at the same time, but it doesn't mean that they are both the same violation and they're both l'shavar. No, they have their own dinim. Bishul mahasa b'dibur echad nemru. Kiduravada barava. Diyam ravada barava. Noshim chayavs b'kiddush hayom devar Torah. Women are obligated in hearing kiddush on Shabbos. Diyam kra zachar v'shamar koshish b'shmir yishnu b'zachira. So anyone who has shmir Shabbos has zachira Shabbos. The hani noshin women hoyav isnu b'shmira, since they have to keep Shabbos. Isnu nami b'zachira. So we understand why it says shamar zachar b'dibur echad, because it teaches us that chiddush. Elahacha b'mai hilchasa. What halachic ramification is it that when it comes to shvuah shav and shvuah sheker said at the same time? So l'mayhachas meboyle ela kashem shulaik al shav kach like nami al sheker. It's coming to tell you that just like there's a iser of shvuah shav that you get malchus, so too on shvuah sheker. in Shua Sheker, which we derived, is Lo Sishmu B'Shvua Sheker. So Klapi Laya. So as Rashi, Dilu Sheker Ashchan Ba Lav Sheish Bo Maisa. We find when it comes to a Shua Sheker, that's a Lav Shein Bo. There is an action. Can go in Lo Oichel V'Lo Ochel, and you ate. She'avar al Shuasai al Inei Maisa. You violated by an action by eating. So Shua Sheker is a Lav Sheyesh Bo Maisa. Of Al Chalti V'Lo Chalti, I did eat in the past, or I didn't eat in the past, that's a Lav Shein Bo Maisa. So what's the bigger Chiddush, right? The bigger Chiddush is when it comes to Shua Shav, which is a Lav Shein Bo Maisa. But why would you say that just like when it comes to Shua Shav, you get Malchus, so too by Shua Sheker you get Malchus? The bigger Chiddush is Shua Shav, because the Lav Shein Bo Maisa. So you would actually say it the other way around. You would think that the Shua Shav, maybe Shua Sheker you can get Malchus, but not Shua Shav. El Eima Kashim Shalaika Al Sheker Kach Laika Nami Al Shav. So it's the other way around. Pshita, Hai Lav, they're both Lavin, so of course you get Malchus. Manatema Kedi Oimuli Rapapa Labaya. Lo Yinake Klal. There's no cleansing at all for Shua Shav. When it comes to Shua Shav, there's no ramification, there's no way you can get out of it. Kamashmalan Kedishani Le, that you can give the person Malchus and that will work. V'boy same on Chaf Alpha Aleph, Kishem Shim maybe carbon al Sheker, Kach maybe carbon al Shav. It's not talking about Malchus, but a carbon. Rabbi Kivi, the Machayev, Wish Avar Kilahaba. Rabbi Kiva holds that Yutakin can archive a carbon not only on what I will do or won't do, but on what I did in the past. Meisve Ezuhi Shvur Shav. What is a Shvur Shav? Nishbal Shainais Esiadua. You make a shvur and switch that's already known l'adam. Shvur Sheker Nishbal Hachlef. Shvur Sheker is a shvur which is the opposite, which is mashma of the past. So Ema Nishma Umachlef. Rather say it's a late one who later switches, which means it's lahaba in the future. That's a shvur sheker, is in the future I will eat, in the future I won't eat. That's a shvur sheker. Shvur shav is again at this time I'm telling you that I didn't eat. I did eat. So that's a shvur shav because at the time it's not true. Okay. All right, let's stop there. Let's see a couple questions. Question 3. Tanaban. Isser shvua isser. Isser shvua isser. Im ata oimer isser shvua v'chulu. Ma kavanas hatana ba'amru im ata oimer wa'inyan isur shel isser l'divri Abaya l'divri Rabba. So according to Abaya, isser is the lashon of hatvasa b'shvua, that it's linking the second to the first. Umasafka le'latana iha matvis b'shvua. If your matvis b'shvua is a kamaitz shvua mapiv dami, is it comparable to the shvua itself? And Rabbi says iser lashon talui b'kamer ha'im emiraso b'lashon shvua shvuahi v'im ha'itzi b'lashon neder nederhu. Okay. Question 4. L'may hilchasa zachar sham b'divrei echad nemru. To be mechayiv women to make kiddush, because just like they're mechayiv in Shmir Shabbos, they're mechayiv also in Zechira Shabbos. Okay. Question TA 14. Omer harei olai shelo oichel baser ki yom shenereg bo gedali ben achikim aser. Madua chal nidro. Why is the neder chal harihu matus bedavar aser v'lo bedavar hanador? Right. So how does that work? It's a davar. It's a davar ha'aser. So ayri shenadar uva ma'oisa hayoim, that you already made a neder uva ma'oisa hayoim from that day. So therefore, it's considered to be a davar hanador. You're matnas ben nadar, and you're not being matnas bedavar ha'aser. Okay, so that's yodal. That's question 14. So again, let's just see the answer again. Irisha nadar uva ma'oisa hayoim. So let's see what it says over here. V'hu shenadar uvam oisa hayoim. So let's look at this Rashi. Shekibalav kvar. You already accepted upon this yourself. Shel oichel basar b'yom shemeis bo aviv. You already did that. L'oilam. V'chein yom shemeis bo ploni. V'chein yom sheneg bo gedalia. Because salcha daitach hashta dahainu matus beneder. So you're being matus bedavar hanadar. Ezu isra ha'amar b'tayra shehu b'lo yachal devaro, etc. Alma hamatus beneder hu b'lo yachal keneder atzmai. Okay. Question. Okay, we didn't do that yet. TB 15. Sh'oichelach he misparish shiachol or shelo yachol. Dan she'alav b'isr shvua ma shiachol. So this is your Testament Beis, Chafam and Aleph. So, or we write Shilo Oichel or Shi'i. Oh, one case is Mitzarav Loisel a bit Labias. And one is you're not Mitzarav. So it depends. If you're being Mitzarav, Boil Echol, one situation is you were being forced to eat, someone's forcing you to eat, and you kind of don't want that, right? So, and the other case is where you're not being forced. The Mishnah is B'shein Misarvin B'ol Echol, and the Bryce is Misarvin B'ol Echol. So, if someone is trying to force you to eat, so you say, I don't want to eat. And if you're not being forced to eat, so there could be that I do eat. So it all depends basically on the context. Or alternatively, it could be Tini Shua Shi'i Oichelach. So it could be Dafka that you said it in that particular Lashon. Adkan.